You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast, so if you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot, turn this off before you get butthurt and mad, start to cry, have to run to your safe space. All opinions are those of the host and his guest and do not reflect the opinions of any government agency. Welcome to Motor Cop Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Iceman. We got a guest, so let me get the housekeeping out the way. We'll introduce them and get them going. First thing we're going to do is get the Patreons, our full crew members, as they're helping me pay some bills. We got T-Bird. We all know who she's related to, right? We got Mr. Jim P., our race car driver. Mr. Hoppy Hopperson, our truck driver. We have Roy S., Roy Spalding, not Roy with the P. We got JoJo, our favorite girl from down under, Miss Kaylee Norris. We have Natasha A. Kaylee and Natasha, our two girls from Washington, and the OG, Melissa Holstein. Y'all remember, if y'all want a good cigar, great cigar, by Patriot, locally owned, go to mypatriotcigar.com and use the promo code MotorCop15 and you'll get 15% off of your cigar, your entire order. If you order $100 or more, you'll get free shipping. So go to mypatriotcigar.com, get your cigars. You'll thank me later. And if you want more of me, you can go to the Patreon, 3 different levels. You'll get text, pictures, videos, and if you're a full crew member, you'll get live stream and the videos and stuff like that. You can go check that out. And if you'd like any gear, merch, you can go to the website. All the links are at the bottom to follow us, and go to the Etsy store or go to Motor Cop Chronicles Etsy store and get your merch there. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Mr. Prior Sergeant John Kelly. I'm not sure if he was a police department or a sheriff's office in Florida.
No, sheriff's office, brother. Sheriff's office.
So he was with an SO like me, and he is retired. He did his 30 and got out.
30 was enough, man. 30 was enough.
I don't blame you. I got 2 years and 11 months left.
You're counting it down, man, like you got a prison sentence there.
I feel like it sometimes. Just trying to get out and alive now.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
And he's also an author. I think he's published one. You got one book out right now?
Yeah, one. We're throwing around one right now.
Now, I don't want anybody to get fooled, because I was fooled at first, because when he said he retired 30 years from Florida, and I'm like, man, where was that accent?
Yeah. No, I know. So, yeah, I did the first 30 up in Boston, and it came down here, and there was no room at the inn for baby Jesus up in Boston when I was trying to get on the job. So I had to move south, and I got picked up by Broward Sheriff's Office down there. So you got Dade. Dade's Miami. Mm-hmm. Broward, think of Broward as Fort Lauderdale. And then you got Palm Beach County, Trump, Mar-a-Lago, and that whole mess. So, yeah, I'm right smack in the middle there.
And so you worked as Leo up in Boston too?
No, man, I got out of school and, just trying to get a job doing anything. And they just weren't having it, man. I was trying to get hired back in late 80s, early 90s, 90, and it just wasn't happening. And I answered, there was an ad in the Boston Globe, come down to South Florida. At the time, they had just started Cops, that show. Yeah. And I guess you got us to blame for all that nonsense, man, because it started with Sheriff Nick Navarro in the Broward County Sheriff's Office. So I was like, man, maybe I'll run down there. I'll run around with those knuckleheads and, see what's going on.
But cops, and when they had live PD and whatever they have out now, I don't remember what it's called, but what they fail to let you know when you're watching it, they just show them running, gunning, catching bad guys. They don't show the hours of paperwork goes involved after they do all that stuff.
Those clips made it to on the cutting room floor, I think. Yeah, they weren't. Not you got five minutes of excitement for 4 hours of paperwork.
Yeah, I was watching as I got older, especially after I got in law enforcement. I'd see a cop thing come on. If I watched it, I'm like, yeah. It's like the only reason they didn't. They went on with kids' gloves because them cameras was there.
Oh yeah, listen, it was one of the less intelligent things I think we did, which is inviting the TV crews with us.
Welcome to with that accent.
Yeah, Boston, Largo, and it just wasn't happening. And I answered. There was an ad in the Boston Globe. Come down to South Florida. At the time, they had just started Cops. That show, and I guess you got us to blame for all that nonsense, man, because it started with Sheriff Nick Navarro in the Broward County Sheriff's Office. So I was like, man, maybe I'll run down there. I'll run around with those knuckleheads and, see what's going on.
But cops, and when they had live PD and whatever they have out now, I don't remember what it's called, but what they fail to let you know when you're watching it, they just show them running, gunning, catching bad guys. They don't show the hours of paperwork goes involved after they do all that stuff. Those clips made it to on the cutting room floor, I think. Yeah, they weren't. Not you got five minutes of excitement for 4 hours of paperwork. Yeah, I was watching as I got older, especially after I got in law enforcement. I'd see a cop thing come on. If I watched it, I'm like, yeah. It's like the only reason they didn't. They went on with kids' gloves because them cameras was there. Oh yeah, listen, it was one of the less intelligent things I think we did, which is inviting the TV crews with us. I mean, and back in the 90s in South Florida, Oh, I know how I was policing in the 90s. It was kind of like that everywhere. We were rocking and rolling, and crack epidemic, all that nonsense, and yeah, man, good times. Oh yeah, policing was way different than when I tell these youngsters now. They're like, I was like, y'all have no idea. You know what? I think, I mean, I said this the other day. I think they actually have it harder, man. Well, yeah, because back in the day, back in the 90s, somebody mouthed off to you like they did now, and they were going to pick some teeth up off the floor. Man, you destroyed them. You destroyed them. It's like now, you'd bring them to the jail bloody and shit and, cuff them to the wall. Now, if you show up at the jail and they got a little scrape on their pinky finger and they're like, oh, no, you got to bring him to the hospital and get him cleared. Medically cleared, man. You're like, oh, yeah. God, it's like, that's a couple hours, but like back in the day, you'd bring him in there and that'd be like, yep. It's like, yeah, it's a whole different animal now. Yeah, well, I tell you what, since I'm still in it, I was saying something just a couple of days ago. We were talking. The state just went to a new crash report writing system, and by the way, everybody. He's also a former motor man. He did his last 7 as a motor sergeant too. So he knows about working crashes, I'm sure. Oh, you know what? Listen, man, don't make assumptions like that, man. You know why I went to motors? So you didn't have to work crashing? So I could just ride. I got paid to ride, man. I wasn't heavy in the traffic. I loved riding, and they were, the timing of it all worked out, but in my 30-year career, I probably worked. I used to patrol unincorporated, so the highway patrol would handle our wrecks in unincorporated. I probably worked 2 wrecks in 30 years. Wow. The old department I come from, I do that in, a couple hours sometimes. But I bet. Yeah, I was fortunate. Yeah, because like I said, we worked all kind of crashes and stuff like that. I forgot where I was going at with the story, but that's what happens when you're unedited and unscripted. Like I said,
man.
he did his time on motors and stuff. The report stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying something. They just came out with the state come out with a new report system everybody's got to use, and the other one I was used to, it didn't take that long. This new one, a 2-car crash, is about 15 different pages on a screen for a 2-car crash now on a computer. And I was like, somebody said, I wish we'd go back to the old one. I said, I wish we'd just go back to using stencils, because it used to be one piece of paper front and back, and we had a little stencils, and you hand drew the scenes and stuff.
Right. Throw the intersection in there.
Yeah.
Vehicle 1, vehicle 2, and then be done with it.
Yep. Not no more. Everything. And the whole reason is, the reason the crash report's so long is it's all stats driven. Everybody wants stats.
All right.
So I know you had to have, especially being down where you were at, y'all had to have some hilarious stuff happen to y'all.
Oh, you know what? It was never ending, man. You know, the thing that I'm kind of kicking myself is, over the years, I wish I had kept a journal, right? I wish I kept a journal over the years, because, you know,
so much you've forgotten. So much you forget.
Somebody will say something, you know, I'll get together with a couple guys that were on the job that retired. You know, they live in the area with me. And one of them will go, hey, you remember? And I'm just, you know.
Or someone will just click when they say something. It's like, oh,
right.
I told them little rookie and young guys now, I'm like, look, just get you a notebook. And when something interesting happens, write down like a little short report synopsis of the main stuff that happened or whatever.
Great
or if you
advice.
have to, or whatever. I think is, you know, like now, I mean, I've been almost at 30 years. So I've been and done so much stuff. I know there's more interesting things I've done out there, but I just can't remember all of them.
Right.
It's
right.
like, and then something will pop in my head here or there. And it's just like, I called somebody, I remembered something. Remember somebody was there, and I called them and asked them about it. And they remembered more of it than I did, because I was like, I didn't want to tell the story and it be, you know, just all messed up.
Right.
So write it down, people, if y'all are listening. And you're new in law enforcement, write it down. Hell, you may have a big old fancy book one day if your own memoir.
That would be perfect, man. I just had to, you know, all my stories, you know, there are a bunch of them, and a lot of them revolved around me just doing really messed up stuff. You know, I mean, stuff you get fired for now. You know,
I know.
Yes, you know, I had a good. I used to have a problem drinking, you know.
Okay,
and,
well, that can be in the law enforcement community.
Yeah, man. But see, the funny thing is I tell everybody I was an alcoholic when I got hired. And you know, people are like, how did that happen? I said, well, quite simple. I said, I had an alcoholic interviewing me. You know, you don't have to look too far, man, in this thing of ours.
It's kind of like. I refer to kind of like the military. You got,
man.
You know, with the type of job we have with stress and stuff like that, just like people that are overseas, a lot of them some turn to alcohol, some will turn to drugs, or they'll be cheating on their wives using sex, or there's different little vices people will pick up.
Yeah, man. Well, mine for the time at that time in my life, it was booze. And what we used to do is I would run with a group of guys. You know, we had 5 or 6 guys, and we would ride our motors all day. You know, bar hopping, shooting pool, throwing darts. You know, hanging out, and then we would wrap it up about 9 o'clock at night, because we all had to be at work at 10:30. You know, so
I used to start my weekends when I was younger, like on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way we were rolling, man. And this one particular night, you know, I'm throwing up all over the place. I'm in the shower. I'm trying to get ready for work, and I don't even make it out of the driveway, man. I'm in my marked unit, in full uniform, passed out over the steering wheel, and my neighbor came out. He called my wife, and he was like, "Hey, something's wrong with John." You know, she knew what was wrong with John. You know, and She ended up coming out yelling at me, getting crazy, and she ended up calling one of my buddies. And this is how we rolled back in the 90s.
How it used
picked
to
me
be.
up with another guy, and he put me in a car, and they drove me close to the district and let me sleep it off for about till about 4 a.m.
They covered all your calls for you.
Handled all my calls, all shift, and everything was going good, man. Right up until the time the sergeant wanted to see me because I never made it to roll call. So, I'm all jacked up still, and he ends up. He was a cool guy, man. He knew I was messed up. He sent me home. Man, I'm like, man, this is. I just got married. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to get my. This isn't the movies, man. You can't come to work messed up like that and keep your job. And so I met with him and the other sergeant the following night. And they were really cool about it. The cool thing about supervisors that have been in trouble,
Yeah,
if they don't have amnesia, man, they're more likely to give you a second chance.
Most of them.
Because somebody gave them a second chance, right? So they said, "Hey, you got two options, man. We can command refer you, or you can go get this taken care of on your own." So I called the EAP, talked to a lady. She gave me the number for an AA meeting of cops ran by cops. 4 cops ran by cops. And this is back in 95, 96.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. So I was like, I did my thing with that, got my act together, and, and it was on to the next fiasco.
Yeah, we had a guy, like I said, this is back in the 90s and stuff. This don't go on now. We had an emergency call out, bad storm or something. Something came through. Some emergency. It wasn't a crime emergency. It was some kind of natural disaster emergency. We showed up, and everybody knows that it was common knowledge this dude was a bad alcoholic. And, everybody got called out. Well, of course, we knew we didn't expect him to show up. Well, he did. Well, this guy got out of his unit, and he never put it in park. So he's standing there. So unit starts going. So we jump in there. We end up parking it and making him ride with making him ride with somebody else. Because,
Right.
nothing like it didn't get hurt or nothing. So nothing. Yeah, it's like nowadays, man, they would have. Even though his guys working with him, they would have reported him and everything else. I mean, there's so many times it's like, I've brought people home that nowadays they would have been in jail and lost their career. I mean, some things you couldn't, if somebody was drunk and got in a crash, I mean,
hey, at that point, man,
something you just can't do nothing about.
No, you got somebody sticking out of the front grill of your car.
Yeah.
You own that one.
Yeah. But it's definitely different. You ain't never, no, we got one of my co-hosts. He was a reserve for, I don't know what that is. He was a reserve for forever. He don't do it no more, but he was probably a reserve 15 years. We call him Freebird, but his thing is, in all the time he did it, he never got that naked call.
Huh.
And he still, to this day. So I always ask every one of my guests if they have some funny naked calls, just to pick on him since he's never had one.
That's funny. Naked calls, man. All the ones we had, man, there were people ripping their clothes off because they were overdosing on dope and they were burning up.
Anybody chase you with their cocker, doesn't it?
Thank God, no.
Okay, because we had one guy. He said this black guy that was hung like King Kong come running at him. Was holding his penis with 2 hands, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And he was running from the guy, because he didn't want to get.
Oh my God, that's trauma right there, man.
I mean, that's enough right there for a medical retirement.
Yeah, no, you're leaving the job after seeing that, man. Oh my God. What a mess. That's hysterical.
The old Freebird's never got that naked call, though. Now, tell everybody, I say it's not that great, because usually ones that are naked, you don't want to see them naked.
No. It's like the nudist beach, right? Yeah, No, it's not. It's not Cindy Crawford laying there. You know, it's
Old Pamela Anderson from Bay.
no, it's not.
Baywatch.
That's not what's going on, man. Got a bunch of French Canadians coming down from Canada, man, sunning themselves.
Well,
you don't want to see that.
You were in Florida, so you beaches and all that stuff. I mean, I was always wondering where because I've been at the beach before, and I've never, back in my 30s, I was in decent shape, but I've never been. I'd bench press 400 pounds, but I wasn't a shredded up 6-pack guy,
Right.
Never been. I was like, I've been in the beaches, we have beaches. We go to Florida. We got, Alabama right there, Mississippi.
Right.
I've been to a lot of beaches. I've never been to a beach where I've seen all fine people. I'll go to a beach and I'm like, damn, they make a bikini that big.
See that you got it confused with the sail of a sailboat, right?
It's like,
yeah, man. No, you know what? This is the thing with Florida, man. It's especially the further south you go, South Beach and all that nonsense, man. That's a different level of commitment down there for people in fitness and.
That's like what, Miami and all of them.
Yeah,
some people driving in Ferraris and stuff like that.
All that craziness. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a Ferrari and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, they got some crazy cars, man. The crazy cars. Everybody, they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing, the whole South Beach vibe. And, dude, I am so, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, man.
Well, I'm not quite. I wish.
The days of me going out and doing all that craziness are long since passed, man.
Well, I don't go out, but I wish I could get to bed at 9 o'clock because, I still work full time motor. Then, I got the podcast, and I'm glad my wife talked me into starting it because she was like, "You always telling stories. You ought to start it." And I'm like, "Yeah." So her and my stepdaughter finally talked me into it, and then it turned into this. I didn't realize what I was getting into.
Right.
Or none of us, because she used to produce for me. And then she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to work on my cups and T-shirt business, and here it's all yours." And I'm like, "I don't know how to do this crap." So we self-taught ourselves, but this has actually turned into my outlet now. Where, because I like my whiskey here and there. I got, a drink made right here with mostly Pepsi, but it's got a little nip of whiskey in it. But I don't hunt no more. I really don't go fishing or nothing no more. So,
when you went hunting, what were you hunting? Deer?
No, I never was a deer hunter. I'd rather go hunt rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that. And I never wanted to go sit in a tree and freeze my ass off waiting to shoot Bambi.
Right.
No, I'll eat Bambi in a heartbeat.
Right. No doubt.
But yeah, we when I was a kid and stuff, we used to have rabbit dogs and stuff like that. We just hunt rabbits and squirrels.
Okay.
But this kind of turned into my outlet. So, how long ago did you retire?
So I retired at the height of COVID. So I just snuck out the door, man. 2020.
Well, guess you're kind of lucky on that. Actually, I didn't mind COVID. Because, I was still full-time the whole time, and I was not forced to get the jab.
Okay.
Thank God. We wasn't forced to get it. And, I did have to put a mask on when I went into, the courthouse.
Sure.
And we'd walk from the courthouse, which was about 20 feet into the sheriff's office area, and everybody take their mask off. Yeah. So it's so basically, COVID didn't really bother me because the traffic was great because I got a 40-mile ride each way back and forth to work. Cause I drive 80 miles round trip to work, and COVID was great because nobody was working.
Yeah, everybody was off the road.
It was
traffic smooth sailing.
Yeah, so
from
we did catch it and stuff. I caught it from my wife, but
yeah, I
been
think,
there,
man,
done that.
They were. I think it's like a lot of things, man. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. Nobody had real facts. Everybody was panicking and overreacting. And I got the vaccine, and I ended up catching it. My wife got it, my daughter got it. Everybody I know got it. And then they were like, "Oh well, it's really not a vaccine."
Yeah.
You're still going to get it. And you're just like, whatever, man. Oh, but it's not going to be that bad. And then you're just like, man, just tell us you don't know. Tell us you don't know. right? And then we make our best decision off of that. I wasn't expecting everybody to have all the facts, man, but come on. If you don't know, you don't know.
They can't tell you that. They can't
Good
say
God,
that.
right?
I can say I don't. I tell people all
Yeah.
the time. I'll have some rookie or something come up to me and ask me something. I was like, I don't know. Because I've been in traffic for 20 years of my almost my whole career, except for 10 years of it. I've been in traffic. Now, if you want something about a crash, I'm not an expert, but I'm not a reconstructionist. I've been to some advanced classes and stuff. I just don't like the math that goes along with the reconstruction.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
I know how to reconstruct a crash. It's just I'm not certified. But if a rookie comes, I said, ask me about a crash. You ask me about traffic citations and anything traffic related, I help you out. Don't come asking me about no domestic violence laws and juvenile and drug stuff, because I'm going to tell you, you know what? Go talk to the narcotics guy, because that's what he does.
Yeah, right.
And domestic
no
violence is
doubt.
completely changing constantly and stuff like that. It's like I know my little area and a little bit about enough to get along with the other stuff.
Sure. That's all that's all you need to know, man. That's all you need to know.
So y'all rode Harleys also.
Harleys, and there was, every now and then BMW would give us a bike to T&E because they wanted, obviously they wanted the contract.
Yeah, trying to get that business.
Yeah. So, but they would. Honda threw a bike at us once, and it's they weren't, for what we did. They weren't really functional for us.
Yeah, I got a guy's been a guest a few times and co-host. He's way up north.
Okay.
He rides a Beamer. Now, we had one department down here. I think they've gotten rid of their bikes since this, but one department in a 200-mile radius probably, they had Beamers one time. And so I've ridden the Beamers before. Super fast and agile. So I rag on them and pick on them, but super fast is a great riding bike. And I just liked my Harley because I work in the rural area, both of them. And so, sometimes I could go, if it was a slow day, just like the other day, me and my partner, we decided to go up north in the parish, like y'all have county. I mean, just to go to a funeral, which they would have had the uniform do it, because just one way to get to from where we were at in the main part, the most populated part to where this funeral is located, is a little over half an hour drive just to get there. And it's not like we're doing, this ain't, 20 mile an hour speed limit city roads. We're, speed limit's 55. So, you're doing 60, 65 miles.
Sure,
and it's a half hour ride to where you're going. Just one way to get there. So, it was a gorgeous day. It was 70 something degrees. I said, let's go do it. And we showed up there, and then they were like, what y'all doing here? Come to do the funeral. And, my meeting has ended. What happened? All right, everybody, we're back.
There you go.
Paused it. So where were we at?
Talking about the BMW.
Oh, yeah. I liked it, but it's nothing like, sitting back on that Harley and, like I said, just be able to just go ride.
Did you guys, we would run rifles in our saddlebags, short barreled rifles in our saddlebags.
I don't. My old department, they got some short barrel, like they actually fold, I believe.
Right.
I think some of the guys out around here have them themselves in there.
Okay.
I don't carry one myself, so I wish I had a little short barrel shotgun, because I love a shotgun. I just bought myself a bullpup 2 weekends ago at a gun show. Yeah. I love a shotgun, perfect for home defense.
What the hell was that? There was a shotgun I wanted to pick up. It's got two barrels, two tubes. You can load one tube full of double aught. You can load the other tube with slugs.
No, they had one there. It was that one was
DPS.
expensive. Yeah, they had one there. That one was a little more at them. That one was like $1,200. I just wanted to. I actually had it here, right here, because I was putting my just put a foregrip on it. Let me make sure it's empty, which I'm sure it is.
That'd be some shit, wouldn't it?
It's empty. See,
Nice.
I mean that's a.
Yeah, right.
I got a 5-round mag and a
Okay,
10-round
I was gonna
mag.
say, what kind of mag?
It's right here.
in there?
It goes right in there.
Yeah, man.
I got a 5 and a 10. Probably end up getting
Nice.
this draw. I put this foregrip on it, and I'm gonna put some. I took the iron sights off. I'm gonna get a aim point, but I got that
Nice.
one for $355 with the 2
Nice.
mags. Somebody comes in and they get past my puppies, then they can
Yeah.
deal with me.
Right. That's not likely, I'm sure.
Well, I got a female. She's crazy. Because we got 5 Great Danes.
Oh, wow.
This is, come here, Duke.
You got a little
this
horse
is the,
farm.
This is the mutt dog right here. Hey, buddy. This is my old buddy. That's Duke the dog. My big male's about 180 pounds, and he can get stuff off top of the refrigerator when he stands on
That's
the side.
crazy.
So if they get
Great
past
Danes are
them,
no joke, man.
but Duke right there, believe it or not, he is he's more protective than them Great Danes are.
Yeah, I bet. Now, what kind of dog is Duke?
But
He's a mutt?
I
a
have
little
no
bit
idea.
of hound in him, or
I have no idea. We didn't mean to have 5 Great Danes. It's a long story, and other people already heard it. I won't get into it right now. Duke was my stepson's dog,
okay.
and my stepson he went to fire academy. I actually used to get up early and bring him back and forth because he had wrecked his truck. He's not a fireman anymore. He decided they didn't pay enough. He wanted to make more money. I told him to stick it out. He'd eventually make more money, but
Yeah.
I'm an old fucker. What do I know?
Yeah, what, you don't know anything.
He's in the plants now. But he come and stayed with, actually when me and his mom were dating, once his sister graduated school, decided she was going to, it was stupid. I was either at her house or she was at my house. So, I mean, it was stupid. We had 2 houses.
Right.
So I said, move in with me because I own my place. I inherited it when my parents passed. And so I said, just move in with me. Well, the day she moved in, so did he.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, I'm gonna stay. Can I stay until I finish fire academy? Sure, go ahead. Well,
Right.
that ended up being about 2 years.
The long fire academy.
Fire academy wasn't that long. That's fine.
Oh, man.
Family's family. But Duke,
Of course.
Duke was his dog.
Okay.
And then when he moved out, he's like, look, can y'all just keep Duke till I get myself settled down on my feet? Well, that was probably about, 8 years ago? So he came over and he said, oh, Duke. I said, no, that's not your dog. Well, what? I said, I said, that's my dog now. I said,
There you go.
I feed him. That's my dog. So I told him, I said, even if you wanted him back now, you can't have him.
Yeah,
So
welcome to the family,
He's
Duke.
mine, yeah. Duke's,
Yeah, man.
Duke, he got his own. He's got his own little following, believe it, on the podcast and everything. Duke's
That's
dog.
hysterical.
So, but Duke actually, being, he's probably about 50 pounds. He's not a big dog, 40, 50 pounds. And he's more protective. Like I said, Big Red came in and he didn't recognize him. And next thing I know, I'm in my studio and I hear Big Red in the kitchen area. And he's like, I heard him call my name. I'm like, what? He said, your dog won't let me. I'm like, so I hollered at him. And he was standing out there. He wasn't he just low growled and had all that hair. And every time he moved,
Yeah.
he moved. He wasn't letting him get into me. Like I said, he's not a big one, but hey, dog's man's best friend.
funny.
He's happy to see me than the wife is.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah,
That makes perfect sense.
Y'all got any pets?
I got a bull mastiff.
Oh, those are beautiful too.
Yeah, and then not unlike you, my daughter, she's back with us, and she had 2 dogs. So we got 3 dogs here running around raising hell.
Yeah.
And
well, you had a bull mastiff. With 5 Great Danes and him, I go through a little over 50 pounds of dog food a week.
yeah,
You know, when I tell people that I buy Victor, which if y'all have any tractor supplies where yet, you can try Victor. And they're not a sponsor, but they're grain-free and corn-free and gluten-free. And you can get a 50-pound bag. It went up some, but it's for about $55. That's cheap for corn-free dog food.
Yeah, no doubt.
They've been on it, and I got 2 Great Danes that are over 10 years old, and I think it's because of the food and stuff I fed them, because that's
that's awesome.
way over their age limit.
No, I was going to say that's that's always been the downside to getting a big dog, is that they just don't have that life expectancy. But you still got 2 dogs going strong, 10+ years. That you're doing something right.
Yeah, so they but bull mastiff, that's a drooling machine right there.
Oh, he shakes his head. Man, don't even bother wiping anything down, man. Every time he shakes his head, somebody's getting doused.
We call that being slimed.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what he does. He ends up sliming you. But he's a good dog. He's a good boy.
So you never wanted to be a canine or nothing like that?
I was.
No, you were a canine. Here we go.
I worked that patrol dog back in the 90s, man, hunting people.
You had a dual purpose, or?
So initially it was just apprehension. And then after 9/11, we certified him as a bomb detection dog after 9/11. So, man, but
you can have to do that, because if he's detected a bomb, that means I'm right there with him.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, we didn't work airports or anything like that. They was just like, listen, if your dog isn't dope, sir, if your dog's not cross trained in dope, we're going to cross them in explosion detection. And, I guess, again, that they wanted more bomb dogs than, we probably really needed at the time, but that's what was jumping off. So, but he was an apprehension dog. And, funny story. Okay. You ready for the funny story?
Bring it on.
So I got my patrol dog, and we had a robbery, and I got a description of the guy. I see the guy bebopping down the street. So I jump out, and we had the releases on our back doors for the dogs.
And pop doors.
I could pop the dog out. So I go up to the guy, and he starts getting froggy with me, and we start dancing. And so I push off, because I'm just going to let the dog take him at this point. I'm not going to fight with this fool anymore. So I punch the door. The dog comes to me. He takes the guy down, and it's all good. The dog's on. I cuff him while the dog's on. Drag the dog off. I got on the radio. I got some units coming to me so they can take this knucklehead out of here. And I threw the dog back in the car, and I turn around and the dog's back on him. I go, what the hell? So I'm just like, so I grab the guy's just getting mauled.
He's just getting eaten up now.
Get in the car. I grab the dog, and I shit you not, I put him back in the car. And no sooner than I put him back in, this is like a Keystone Cops episode. I put him back in the car, and I look over my shoulder, and he's back eating the guy again. This happened twice.
Poor guy. Man, it's like, God.
I felt so bad for this guy. I was like, he's just like, I give up.
I quit. I promise.
I give up. I go. So I'm looking, and because I'm a moron, I closed the door after I popped it, but my walkway was open and my window was down.
He was just coming out the front.
He was just coming out the front, and I was just like, it took me twice to figure it out. And I was like, and the dude was like, sir, I'm sorry. I go, I'm not going to put the dog on you anymore, man. It was my bad.
I promise I'll never do it again. I'm going to I'm going to take up the priesthood now. Just stop.
Yeah. And you know how sometimes those calls can go. Luckily he was the legit, guy that did the robbery. I mean, it was, But with my luck, man, it would have been, they didn't ID him, and then I would have had to, it would have gotten nutty.
Well, was this back in the 90s, early 2000s? You got to admit, especially since you just retired, because I tell people this and they think I'm crazy. Back in the 90s, in the very early 2000s, the bad guys knew they were the bad guys. The good guys. So here where I was at, the good, it's like, I took a guy down. I mean, I won't get into the whole story, but that'll be after I retire. But anyway, he ended up with several, very, very bruised ribs. Sure. Okay, like where he couldn't sit up the next day while in the jail. Well, they went to him and they were like, asked him straight up if he wanted to file a complaint on me.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this, man.
Bad guy looked at him dead in the face and said, "Nah, I deserved it. He just won." Yeah. People look at me and I'm like, it's true. They didn't complain back then.
Well, listen, and everybody, if you got them, you cut them dirty, you cut them dirty. 9 times out of 10, they were going to win. They were going to get away with it. But the one time that you caught them, you got me. I was, that's really that's a real accurate observation, man, because I remember distinctly, it was just a part, they knew that it was a part of doing business.
Yes, it was part of business. I arrested a guy one time, I say no names, but it was way back. Like I said, I was very early into my career. I took like 5 stitches in my knee that night, and he got 4 days in the hospital and 2.5 pints of blood. No gunshots were fired. We'll put it that way. Okay. Yeah. One day I will go into detail in the story, people. But he was a bad guy. Right. Of course, who goes to jail, gets a little time, does this, and you're always dealing with the same people, frequent flyer.
Right.
The next time he would run from everybody. He always ran. He was running that night. That all that stuff with us happened. Every time he saw me coming after that, though, I was the only person he did not run from. Yeah. He'd be like, "Oh, deputy, say my name. I ain't running from you." So, now of course, he ended up committing suicide umpteen years later. But he massive drug problem. He never could beat or nothing. But I was the only one he would not run from.
That's funny.
But it was just a mutual respect, though. It's like, okay, I'd say his name. Oh, no, sir, I ain't gonna run from you. But he'd run from everybody else. Yeah, and I was not the fastest person in the world. He just didn't want me catching him.
Yeah, he knew what was coming, man. He knew what was coming if you caught him. That's funny. Nowadays,
people, it's like I said, policing is different. Now, technology's great.
Yeah. I always thought, man, that, when we stop being feared by the bad guys, that's a huge problem, man. When the wolf doesn't fear the sheepdog anymore, man, you got what you got now. And
well, it's just like you talk about in prison. I was a CO beginning of my career, so I got into law enforcement after college. When we worked at a state correctional, I worked in an open dorm before I moved on to a hobby shop. Open dormitory, state prison. These are convicts. Okay, these aren't people, waiting a trial. These people have been convicted. And I worked at I worked at Elaine Hunt. It was if you got convicted in Louisiana, you went here first. It was the intake for the whole entire state. Murderers, rapists, serial killers. Everybody goes here first. And when you got 2 people. You got 2 COs in a dormitory with 120 to 140 inmates. You're a little bit outnumbered.
Yeah, no doubt.
The prison guards, period, are outnumbered by inmates in the prison. So, the yard I was on, you'd have, 500, 600, 700 people, and you'd have, like 8 guards.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, really? I mean, come on. If they wanted, but you have to rule by fear. And, if they don't fear you, the animals are going to run a zoo.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Now, the public knows, especially in some of these other places, you're in Florida, Louisiana, we're not too bad, but you go like New York, California, Washington, places like that. they know there's no repercussions. The cop's going to get fired for doing their job. So this is what you get when.
Yeah, you get a free for all.
Yes. Well, where was it at? In New York, I just saw news where that Fox contributor or reporter or something just got beat up on a subway for defending some old man by like 4 teenagers.
Really?
Well, the teenagers were out of jail before he even got out the hospital.
Yeah, that I don't doubt.
So
Craziness.
Like,
yeah, I used to like to go up to New York, believe it or not. Take the family, walk around, go Times Square, check out some of the sites. They used to be, I haven't been up there in years, man. It's, not until they get their act together,
I've never been. I wanted to go at one point to go see, Lady Liberty and stuff like that, just to say I've been. But
yeah,
that was after it got cleaned up. Now,
yeah,
you couldn't give me a free trip
tell you,
over there.
If they get their shit together, I would definitely go to that 9/11 memorial. It's I would that has to be something that you do before you leave this earth, man.
That, and I want to go, even though everything's screwed up, but I want to go to the Capitol. I want to go to I want to go to Police Week once, and hopefully coming up soon before I retire. I'd like to do it while I'm still active. And there's just some certain places I'd like to be able to go see, and I think everybody should see the Capitol of the United States. But it's like New York, they definitely have to do something right now. I mean, that's like New Orleans. People don't realize New Orleans had they were number 1 in murder for the United States last year. Didn't have as many as Chicago and stuff, but per capita of people, it was way more dangerous in New Orleans. It's crazy. I mean, we just had a mass shooting in Baton Rouge this past weekend. 12 people were shot inside of a nightclub.
Okay, yeah, man.
Thank goodness, thank God they can't shoot because nobody died. 12 people and got shot and nobody died inside of a nightclub. It's it's crazy everywhere because everybody's like, when I bash, I tell everybody, I'm not just bashing on your city because I bash on my own state and cities too around here because it's just shit.
Yeah, it's listen, I don't know actually I know what the solution is, right? We all know what the solution is.
Oh, we know it is, but they're not going to let us do it. Not
right. No, unfortunately, I think we're past the point of no return on a lot of this, and time to circle the wagons, man.
Oh, that's why I said I got my guns, got my ammo, and I told somebody asked me, which we're an open carry state here.
Okay.
So
how you like that?
It don't bother me. I've been here all my life with it, and believe it or not, it's not. People don't open carry like you think it'd be the Wild West.
I would, even if I could open carry, I wouldn't. I don't want people knowing I got a gun on me.
But you'll have some people that they do open carry. So but people around here don't even pay attention to it. It's like Joe Blow walking into the store. Unless it's posted no firearms allowed, you'll be seeing somebody with a gun on their side, and nobody thinks about it. And you'll see the ones that are trying to, especially if you're in uniform. They'll keep turning it where I'm a cop and I can see it. I'm like, yeah, I got one too. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. Stop. You keep turning it like that towards me, I'm just going to take it from you because you're not doing very good weapon retention the way you can. But they do that. But it's open carry. Your vehicle is considered an extension of your home in Louisiana. So you can as long as you can legally possess it, as long as you're not a convicted felon and you can own a firearm, you can put it anywhere in your car that you want. If you want to mount it under the dash, that's complete. So when I pull cars over, I automatically assume every car I walk up to has a gun in it.
Right, no doubt. No doubt.
I watch some of that stuff on TV, and people they're like, oh, I got a gun, and they freak out. And I'm like, yeah, I just pulled over somebody the other day. I was like, hey, they're like, yeah, I got a gun right here in my console. I'm like, okay, just leave it there. Yeah. They're like, you don't want to get it? I'm like, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you wanted to shoot me with it, you wouldn't have told me it was there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going in your favor at that point, man.
Second of all, if it's stolen or something, or you wanted to kill me, you wouldn't tell me it was there. So, I'm like, you don't touch yours, won't touch mine. They're just kind of
that's a great way to explain it, man.
It's like, so I just know so many different laws and all that stuff all over the place.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I'm sure Florida will eventually go to an open carry state. You know,
Y'all probably one of the most. I'm surprised y'all don't have it because DeSantis is. Y'all got a great governor.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it that that's not on the horizon. You know, he's very pro Second Amendment, and you know,
Like I said, but out here, well, when you drive into the parish that I live in, there's billboards on the interstate that the sheriff office actually put out, and it says, we love our guns. It says that we love our children, churches, and our school, and gun, in our Second Amendment. Enjoy your stay.
there you go.
As you come into where I live at. So I have no doubt if I'm in my house and somebody kicks my door in, and I call the sheriff's office or call 911 and say, look, send somebody over here. Somebody kicked my door in and I shot them. Bring a shovel and a couple body bags. Because I shot them with my new shotgun with double-aught buck, and it kind of splattered them all over the place. They're going to come with the body bag and stuff. They're going to take a report. Yeah, I'm sitting in my house. Ding dong, kick my door in, and I blasted them. And that'll be the end of it. We just had one probably a mile from my house. Guy was in his house, and his neighbor had been arguing. The neighbor came over, kicked the guy, just opened the guy's door and walked in his house arguing. The guy gut shot at him. The guy stumbled out and went in the road. They ended up bringing him to the hospital. He didn't die, and after he got to the hospital, they arrested him for unauthorized entry.
Don't be going into people's homes.
It's
man.
not like in some of these other places, you know.
Oh yeah, it's a little nutty, man. A little nutty.
Well, tell me about this book you wrote.
Yeah, you know, I figured out some things, right? Over 30 years, I figured out some things. I figured I'd pass some knowledge along to people still in it, you know? And so I developed a program from the book that addresses the personal, professional, financial, physical, and mental health of our guys. So through a series of life experiences, alcoholic, addict, adulterer, you know, that's just the A's, right? You know, we get to the B's, C's, and D's, man. This is going to be a long podcast. But no, man, it's a bunch of stories, bunch of things that guys and girls can do to stay ahead of it, right? So they don't end up, you know, in the trick bag, and they end up being able to do 30 years and come out on the other side actually in one piece, you know, doing better for it than not.
Yeah.
So that was the book, and I, you know, it's called Surviving Self-Inflicted Wounds, because the other part of all that, man, is all the problems I had, I created. They were mine, you know. Got nobody to blame but me. So I put it together, and it's kind of like a journal or how to have a healthy life and career. You know, bouncing off some of the mistakes that I made and some of the positive things that I figured out. And and like I said, so that's I use that book for the program. I put a program on. I speak at different agencies, at conferences, you know, just trying to help folks that are still in the middle of this thing.
Well, I mean, best way to learn is from somebody that made the mistakes. Yeah. Because that's when I'm teaching new guys, that's how I do it. I'll tell them, you know, I'm like, look, don't do this. You might want to handle it like this. That's because I did it the other way and it was wrong. Or you know, I wasn't the alcoholic, but I mean, I've said it on here before. I mean, I was definitely the adulterer. I mean, my poor wife now, I mean, thank God she put up with me, but I mean, she's my six. This is number 6 for me. There won't be a 7.
Record, dude. That is a listen. I'm impressed now because I've heard 3. I think I heard it like someplace there was a guy that had 4.
No, I got.
You sir
six.
Have the record, my friend. 6.
I'm on 6, and this will be the last one. I finally, and I mean, I'm afraid. Back in the day, if you'd asked me, you know, I could come up with an excuse for here or there, you know, when most of them, 99% of them were my fault. That reason I got divorced is my fault.
Yeah, that's it, man.
But you gotta, like I tell all these guys all the time, it's like, look, the grass. I'm gonna tell you where the grass is greener at. telling you where the grass is greener at. The grass is greener on top of the septic tank because that's where all the shit's at. Okay, you don't want to eat shitty grass.
No,
And one of my buddies, it wasn't my saying when my buddies might come up with that. I don't know if it's his or not, but it's true. Because as we know, that badge will attract women.
Yeah.
But look what it's attracting. Better look at what you got at home first. Think about think about who you hurting and stuff like that.
That's 100. Listen, because we don't think it all the way through, man. We don't think it all the way through, and then by the time we realize that we're sideways and we're all jacked up, and sometimes we can't come back from that.
Yeah, well, you said financial. I mean, they need it because it's cops. One of the part thing is it's like they'll just buy crap they don't need.
100%, man. Buying crap that they don't need to impress people that they don't know.
Yep. It's like you'll see, I've seen it all the time. You see a cop living in this big fancy house driving his car. I'm like, he's a cop. I know he's stressed out. And of course, he might have all that stuff, but he's working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, too, and not having no life.
No, that's we end up doing that to ourselves.
So I don't think I asked you. My thing is, since you're retired, how do you turn off? How'd you turn off? Or I mean, I know you can't completely turn it off, but how you turn off? How'd you turn off? Or I mean, I know you can't completely turn it off, but how you turn off like being cop mode, being a civilian.
You know what? It's like I carry a gun everywhere I go. I always got a gun on me. I still always sit kind of with my back to the door. I'm always, scanning and, but not like a crackhead, I'm just trying to be aware. But when I started, after I retired, I knew I wasn't done. I'm relatively young. And so I stayed, I started this little business, kind of in a way to stay connected to the people that I care about. And, but I was never like that guy that, people would meet me when I was in my civilian clothes. And if they didn't know me, like the best compliment they could give me was, "Hey, shit, I didn't know you were a cop." Because right. Well,
I scream for some reason. I don't even have the military haircut or nothing, but it's like everybody looks at me like I just scream cop, and it's I wear my own podcast T-shirts and stuff now, but I don't walk around. I don't have blue line stickers on my car. I don't wear all that stuff. But they said I just look. Like, of course, I look like, I'm told all the time that, they look at me, it's like, what you mad about? And I'm like, nothing. You look like you're ready to bite somebody's head off. I'm like, that's called a wrath face. I'm a resting asshole face. I can't help it. It's the way I look. But it's just like, I was just wondering because like I said, I'm real close to retiring. My thing is, and I talked about it on the other episodes, like, so I've been asking people, how do they turn it off when they retire? Because it's like, all right, we're having that badge and enforcing, the laws and doing this for 30-something years, and then you become like a normal person.
Yeah. I was fortunate, man. I never believed my own bullshit, man. You know what I mean? I didn't figure it out until the end. And so once I did, my priorities and like what defines me as a man and, what my why is, like if for somebody that's getting, close to retirement, my advice is you got to find your new mission. You got to find like the new thing that pulls you out of bed every morning that you want to do, whatever it is. Cause I know a lot of guys end up retiring and they don't know what they're going to do. And so, that can be a messed up place to be. So, my why was like, what, I'm going to continue helping the guys and the girls that are in the middle of it and pass along some knowledge and some life experiences. And so that's how it worked out for me,
That sounds great. Well, we've been going for a while.
Yeah, man.
Do you have a podcast or something? I see your equipment there.
Yeah, man. I got a little thing I do. It's so I got my website, lawenforcementlifecoach.com. Got a podcast, talk about all sorts of stuff, and got the book. And I'm running around the country doing this and that, trying to get in front of people. And
that's what the name of the podcast is too.
Yeah, Sometimes Heroes Need Help podcast.
Y'all hear that, right? Y'all go check that out also. Well, Sergeant, we appreciate it. Don't hang up yet. I'm not even going to do the outro. I'm going to add it in later. We appreciate it. If you ever want to come back on or if you need anything, you know how to get in touch with me.
I do, man. I appreciate you.
Everybody go check them out. I'll put stuff, links in the description also for them. And, y'all stay safe.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm